common yellow flags. Yellow flags meaning it's not a red flag, but there might be something there. And while we don't want to go look for trouble, we also don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. I'm so happy to welcome back Joni Caldwell Lerner, the motivational coach and relationship expert and host of Wake Up with Joni. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you so much, Silke, and the viewers. And relationship expert always gives me a pause because I'll tell you, I wasn't very good at them 30 years ago. You know, it can be learned. Things can be changed. So that's why we're here.
And, you know, just because we know what it's supposed to be doesn't mean we do it. That's like me.
Right. That's like most people.
So I learn all the time. I learn something all the time, and I have to be reminded of a lot of things over and over and over again. And that's one thing we do here too. We've had similar topics, you know, the flags. You can't get away from the flags. We don't want to make mistakes again as we're starting over. So how do we know that we're with the person we're supposed to be with, or this person is good for us or bad for us? So today, Joni, I want to go over some common yellow flags. Yellow flags meaning we don't know if it's a real problem. It's not a red flag, but there might be something there. And while we don't want to go look for trouble, we also don't want to miss it. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, red flags, usually it's too late. It's just there's nothing to fix there, or you know, it's like, whoa, adios. But a yellow flag simply means that there's something that gets triggered within us. You go, oh, that's a little, let me think about that. And you know, I'm a big proponent of being curious in life and observing, just noticing without judgment. And that's not easy for people, especially if judgment is a currency that they've used to feel good about themselves or better than other people or what have you. Discernment is good. Is this person aligned with my values? Is this person somebody that makes me feel good? Do I feel good inside being with them? And that could be in the first few dates even.
Well, let's go here. Here's the first one, which I think is important. We've talked about this a couple times before, but it's worth mentioning, that they don't have friends, or the opposite. We haven't talked about that. They have too many friends. What does that say about someone if they don't have any friends?
If they don't have friends, then one, they are maybe not very good at connecting, or they're not good at commitment. So no judgment, discernment. Will that fit with my lifestyle? Will that fit with what I'm seeking in relationship? So if they don't have close friends, that does say something about their ability to connect. And then if they have so many friends, maybe they're losing themselves in that activity, or maybe they won't have enough room for a committed relationship, because a committed relationship does take devotion and time and planning and making the other person a priority.
I agree. I think, you know, it's obviously not a red flag, but it's worth thinking about, especially if you, like you said earlier, if you get a little gut feeling like, why doesn't he have any friends, or why doesn't she, you know, or like, my God, we're always, you know, in a crowd where we never get any time alone. I don't know. Here's the one. They are in serious debt. Yeah. That obviously is something to look at. What is interesting, or maybe prevalent, I should say, you know, at this point in life, there's reasons, maybe even good reasons, that we might be in serious debt. But how are we trying to get out of that? I think that's where the answer is, or the yellow or red flag.
So if you've got a compulsive gambler or a compulsive spender, or at the age of 60, by that time, one would hope that the person would stop and say, this is not working. What I'm doing, based on results again, results will always tell you if something's working or not working. If I keep doing the same thing, I'll keep getting the same result. I don't know that I can handle it personally, but as a new partner, that would be more than a yellow flag for me.
No, it would be too, because there's the potential of your financial stability going away, or that you might be pressured even into giving up your financial stability, and that's never good, especially at our age, for both, men or women.
So you just brought up and this is men or women, you brought
Yeah,
up a really good point. Have good financial boundaries. Okay. Nobody gets to pressure you into spending your money on until you have nothing left. You have
right.
you've saved hard over your lifetime or whatever it is for your retirement. This is a very interesting question. For me, experience is important now. Things
Hmm.
things are not important to me anymore. But
Right.
fully living life. And if I've got the albatross of debt, and if I got the conflict of debt, that's not freedom to me.
Right.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a complicated topic, and it's going to
Right.
trigger some people, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will help some people just to go,
This is another interesting one. They don't talk about their family, that, especially at this time in life. Again, we have a lot of history. We likely, have had children. Well, I don't, but most of us, we've had relationships. I mean, there's family, or at least people that are important to us. And if nobody, that's never referenced, that would be a good, something that I would certainly cue in on.
yeah, is he part of the CIA? You know, so family and history, I'm a big believer in not living in the past, but the past is part of the woven fabric of who we are.
It's not that it has to be great memories or something. It's, to me, or the way I read this, is that it just never comes up. I mean, you can be alienated from people. You can be alienated from your kids. It happens all the time, and it might be good reason. It might be something you're trying to work through. But if
Mhm.
it's just nothing is ever mentioned,
Yeah, and I don't know.
or yeah,
I don't know any parent who's been perfect. Essentially, zero parents that I've coached, that I've met, of my friends, no one's perfect.
right.
But if they're hiding their past, there
Mm-hmm.
might be a shame piece or a nefarious piece.
Right.
You want to know if this is a venal person or not. You want to
Mm-hmm.
know, if they're open. To me, that's
Mm-hmm.
trustworthy. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
mean open and here's my blood type. I
Yeah.
don't TMI me, but be real, be honest.
Right.
So it feels dishonest if they're unwilling to share anything about their
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. Here's one that to me is more than a yellow flag. Well, I guess it is technically a yellow flag, but it just bugs the crap out of me. They are always late. That that I think that says so much about a person. Yes, we can run late every now and then, traffic, whatever. But if it's a consistent pattern, to me,
Mhm.
all that says is that you don't have respect for the other person's time. It's like your time is more important than my time.
Right. That's
And
absolutely
yeah.
true. Yeah, absolutely true. It is a pet peeve. And I will tell you this, I may have said this before. At the age of 25, I did an emotional intelligence training.
Mhm.
And in that training, what one of the biggest epiphanies for me was I was late all the time. I was late
Mm.
all the time. And if you were late for this, they'd shut the door in your face.
Uh-huh.
So what they talked about was, it's not just disrespect of the other person. You're disrespecting yourself. I'm so insignificant
Mhm.
that no one's going to care if I show up. And so being late chronically, we're talking chronically,
Mhm.
being late chronically is disrespecting them. It's disrespecting you. And eventually somebody with good self-esteem is going to go, you know what? This is uncool, not
Yeah.
okay. We're done.
To me, if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. So, but that's my
That's
German.
very German. Yes. Very much the
Yeah.
on time clock mechanism.
Yeah. But you made a good point that it's not, it seems like no big deal, but it really, it goes into what's underneath it. Why
Yeah,
are
you're
you
saying I don't
calling?
matter. You're
I don't,
saying
yeah.
if you're showing up late,
Hmm.
so whatever you were doing was more important than me.
Exactly.
Seriously?
So yeah, do pay attention. Do pay attention for that. And this is something I would call somebody out on sooner rather than later, and see what their reaction is. Here's another one we've talked about, but again, can't mention it enough. They have too many crazy exes, and all their relationships fail because of the exes. That actually, to me, is just a huge red flag. they say here that, it depends on what you think is a lot, whether it's yellow or red. But yeah, the crazy exes, and that's why all my relationships failed, because I'm with crazy people. Well, what, am I crazy too?
Well, so here's the deal. Who's the common denominator?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the most important piece. So if I keep attracting crazy people, what is it in me? What is the fracture in me that's attracting the fracture in them? Because it's law of attraction. That's one piece. The other piece is they are victims. So now they're telling their victim story, which if a person thinks anything outside of themselves, whether it's a person or a situation or a thing that happened, has the power to impact their joy and happiness, they are a victim. But the point is, if they're saying all their exes are crazy, one, there's something going on with this person, or two, they don't have accountability.
We don't need to dwell on it. Like I said, we talked about that before, but that's a huge piece. So if you're out there for the first time again, after a long time, watch out for that, especially
and
those
if you genuinely think that it's all them, seriously, I want you to stop for a moment and say, wait a minute, what is true about my behavior? What did I do that I can change? Because if you don't, you're going to get another crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Here's another one that kind of speaks to that. They've never had a long-term relationship. We've actually had different segments on that about, is being single after 50, is that a red flag? What does that say? And I say, no, it is not, because there's a lot of, you might have actually made good decisions not to marry somebody crazy. However, if they've never demonstrated any sort of long-term relationship, and again, what do you define as long-term? If you're looking for one, that's something you should pay attention to.
So the marriage contract is a legal, it's a construct of society, right? It's just a piece of paper. A long-term committed relationship doesn't have to be a marriage. Right. To me, long-term is when a person can get back past, I would say, 5 to 7 years. At the 3-year mark, that's where people, all the passion and the pink cloud and all that, now it becomes real. Yeah. Who is this person? And honestly, if you're with a match, it deepens, it gets more exciting, it gets more intimate, it gets more delicious as a relationship. If you're willing to do the work, man, but it starts 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. So that to me is a long-term relationship. And I used to go, oh, you've been married 45 years. That's amazing. And now I go, discernment, right? So, and God bless them. Commitment is a really powerful thing. Right. And we've talked about the difference between commitment and devotion. In relation, I like devotion better. I like the word devotion because I'm devoted to this relationship. I'm devoted to growing together. I'm devoted to staying together forever.
So yeah, again, if you're back on the dating scene, if you're kind of getting your feet wet, putting your toes in the water, that's something to pay attention to, especially if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for a relationship, a long-term relationship. So here's an interesting one that I don't think's ever come up. They are too indecisive that they just have trouble making decisions. I've never thought of that as a relationship flag, but that's, when you think about it more, it kind of is.
If a person doesn't have an opinion, they may have some codependency issues because they wait to know, okay, what am I feeling now? What should I be feeling now? What should I like? Do you like red? I don't know. Do I like red? You know what I mean? That to me is a big flag.
That's interesting, Deb, because they have that as a separate yellow flag here, is that they don't have an opinion about anything. So it does kind of go hand in hand, decisive and not having an opinion. What does that say about you in terms of being in a relationship? Do you not know what you want? Are you meek? And I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about. Another interesting one here, they're always fidgeting. Now, I have never thought about that what that might say about someone in terms of relationship. But if somebody can't sit still, always on the go, they just can't find that quiet, place, are they hiding something? Is something, I mean, what does that say?
It could say so many things. It is an interesting thing to talk about, though, because if a person is fidgety, maybe they're uncomfortable in their own skin. Now,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a person has ADHD. That's just a neurodivergent way of thinking, not
Mm-hmm.
bad or good.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're uncomfortable in their own skin, that does tell me something. Or, and here's the other thing, if they're bored and they're like, pay attention to those signs too.
Yeah.
Because you deserve to have somebody who's interested and interesting.
Well, here, the last one here, I wanted to just to your point here, they don't have any hobbies or interests. That's a pretty big yellow, if not even a red flag. They just don't have it. Just,
you mean if they're just in survival needs? Sex, food, sleep, sex, food, sleep, sex, food, sleep, sex, food,
I mean, there's just nothing outside, more of a couch potato maybe, or there just isn't anything that they're passionate about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm being flip right now, but the truth is, apart from the whole relationship piece, find things that are interesting to you. This journey of being a human being on this planet, it's an extraordinary gift.
Yeah. Well, and the other concern is, to me, is if they don't have any other interest, then you might be, like their only thing that they focus on to become obsessed.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, yeah. That's I can't be your everything. You want to matter to them in a very significant way. But if they're indicating that you complete them, then that means that they think they're not whole without you. And so that's not your job to complete this other human being. Your job is to come as a whole person, attract a whole person, and the two whole people have a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Well, it's an interesting conversation as always. Some of these are, a little obvious, some are not. It just really helps to be reminded of that, especially when we're first starting. We haven't thought about this. You're excited about meeting new people. Wow, this person, is this it? And you're clouded, and you don't see maybe things that you need to see right in front of you. Again, don't go looking for it, but if it's right in front of you, that's where the discernment, I think, to your point, comes in, right?
Right. So I think I'd kind of wrap this up by saying it's not about the boogeyman's around every corner. And these yellow flags are just little indicators of, oh, that's tripping me somehow. What is this about?
And why?
It's not, that's it, I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater. She sneezed and didn't use a napkin. I mean, that's not a yellow flag.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Joni, I always love talking with you. Thank you so much. I hope that, we had a few things here that resonated. I think a couple did for me again. I mean, I swear to God, every time we have these conversations, there's just something comes up, and I'm hoping that the same for our viewers. So leave us your questions, leave us your comments. We love that. Joni, of course, I will link to all of your information. If you want to get a hold of Joni directly, if you need a little coaching, want a little coaching, maybe just say hi to Joni. There's a link, a Calendly link in the show notes where you can get in touch with Joni directly. I'll link also to your podcast, Wake Up with Joni. And I can't wait to have you back again soon on Second Act TV.